Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing last week's episode of 90 Day OG. So before we head into that, just one quick announcement as always, and that is Patreon. So we have 3 tiers going on over there on Patreon. All of these again are on, well, I'm going Canadian dollars. I'm actually not sure if they will adjust that depending on which country you're in. But anyways, $3 is the first tier, and there you get these episodes ad free as well as AMAs every month. And also more to come, hopefully, once we have memberships growing over there. But for now, that's kind of what's there at the $3 tier. And then the second tier is $5 a month. And there you'll get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. And that right now is Jersey Shore. We're in season 3 of Jersey Shore. So you can head over there and you can listen to that, as well as the back catalog there as well. And then we have the third tier, which is $7 a month. You get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage of a true crime documentary. So, right, so we've so far have done Ashley Madison documentary, Man of a Thousand Kids. We did Into the Fire last month, and this month we're doing the Lacey Peterson documentary. So that's coming up now. And that should actually be starting. What week are we in? I think that actually is starting next week, I believe. Next Tuesday. And then you can also look out for, which I'll say this about Jersey Shore as well. We do bonus episodes on the main feed of the first episode. So for Jersey Shore, it's the first episode of every season. For the true crime documentary, we usually do like the first episode of the documentary, or in cases of some of them, like the Into the Fire, for example, you always get the first one. But if it's a long form one, like there's going to be one on the Menendez brothers coming up at some point this year, you'll get like the very first episode that's released. So that's kind of what you can get. If you like it, you can head on over to Patreon and join. And the link is in the show notes for that. But that's also patreon.com/reality tea times 2. If you don't find it in the show notes, you can also go to a social media or website where you can also access Patreon from there. Okay, so let's get into some hot goss. I don't know how much I'll have for you because I haven't actually read these articles. So we'll see what we have and then we'll go from there. So this is about Peyton Brown. So this is just following, because we're not too long after Mother's Day. And he had a message for some of these moms, except for maybe one. So Sister Wife star Peyton Brown, the son of Christine and Cody, sent a blunt message to all moms except one on Mother's Day. So on May 11th, Peyton, who's 27, posted a playful video on TikTok that left fans of the TLC show saying the same thing. So he said, quote, "I wish a very, very happy Mother's Day to almost every mom out there," Peyton said in a clip, while sitting in the driver's seat of a car. "Not every single mother. There's at least one I'm not wishing happy Mother's Day because I'm a butt muncher sometimes." Wow, guy. In the caption, he clarified, "No, I am not excluding anybody, in terms like, any one person. I just thought it was funny, but people will definitely choose to run away with anything they want." I mean, come on, guy. Many of Vaden's TikTok followers immediately thought he was speaking to his mom, Christine, and her former sister wives, Janelle and Mary, but excluding his father's fourth and now only wife, Robin, amid a rift between Cody and some of his adult kids in recent years. One wrote, "Happy Mother's Day to Christine, Janelle, and Mary." Someone else shared the fact that whole world knows who he's probably talking about, right? Another joked, "She's canceling the Mother's Day gift exchange then." That's funny. I like that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you could definitely head over to last season's Sister Wives where we talked about it. But there's a gift exchange during Christmas, and Robin got butthurt because her kids felt left out or something. It was stupid. Anyways, a different TikTok user pointed out it would have been funnier if you were wearing the "What Does the Nanny Do" shirt. Robin, it's you, yet another bluntly commented. That's funny. That was great. Anyways, yeah. Hopefully everyone had a great Mother's Day, except for one. Um, okay. So I don't talk about the show, but I definitely watch the show. It's just one of my pieces of fun. I have to, but I'll kind of put some thoughts into this at the end of this article, just to kind of, put that out there. So, Thousand Pound Sisters, Amy Slayton is engaged to now Brian Lavorne after 5 months of dating. And if you didn't, this proposal was aired on the show, which was, this is coming out Friday, I believe. So 3 days ago. Um, but in case you didn't watch it, you could probably find it. It's ridiculous. They got engaged in a haunted house in a padded room. It's great. Anyways, so she's now engaged. So during as I just mentioned, the Tuesday's episode of Thousand Pound Sisters, it was revealed that Slayton's boyfriend Brian proposed inside the padded room of Henderson Haunt's haunted house in Henderson, Kentucky during winter of 2024. So Slayton's sisters, Tammy and Misty, witnessed the special moment, quote unquote. They were unhappy. Quote, originally, he slipped a green apple ring pop on my finger while I was asleep about 2 weeks into our relationship. That is insane. I was shocked at first and I said yes, but only if the real proposal was in a haunted house on Halloween. Although Slayton was mostly joking, Lavorne made sure to fulfill her spooky wish after just 5 months of dating. Even more untraditional than Slayton's engagement location is her gothic ring. Instead of a diamond, her silver band is decorated with two skeleton hands forming a heart. Okay, that's kind of cute, but that's not an engagement ring. Quote, he said something about, my love for you is crazy. It's scary how compatible we are, Slayton recalls. Just like how our matching tattoos say scary love. Tammy, well, she's 38, wow, was apprehensive about her younger sister's quick engagement. She really felt like we were rushing it, like her engagement, her wedding will also be rushed. Slayton is excited that her engagement will be over with soon. She and her fiance are already planning their small, quaint wedding. They both have always wanted to get married on Halloween, which she mentions in the show, but are still figuring out the wedding party situation and need to find a venue, dress, flowers, pretty much everything. Because I really hope she's not planning on getting married at the Waverly, whatever asylum. I've heard about the Waverly something else asylum. I know I'm missing a word here. It's spooky as hell. Why would you want to, first of all, why would you want to get married in an asylum? No one was happy there. So we're not gonna be happy about your nuptials. You know what I mean? It's just wow. Anyways, I'll be able to call him my husband and get to spend the rest of my life with him like you thought you would with Michael. Anyways, our engagement life may be short, but our marriage will last an eternity. Sure, 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 Jan. The bride-to-be knows exactly what she wants to wear on her big day. She's definitely gonna want to wear black. My vision for the dress is white with black lines, a corset with a princess poof. Brian wants me to have pink hair for the wedding, and I want to have a Victorian style updo. The couple met at a concert in the park. Amy knew Brian was the one, quote unquote, when he met her sons Gage and Glenn, whom she shares with her ex-husband Michael. They just took to him naturally. He just fit perfectly in our family. He fits perfectly in the life I've always wanted. So Amy admires how good Brian is with her kids. He's so patient, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. Um, so the other thing, like I said, I don't watch the show. Oh, no, I do watch the show. I just don't cover the show. Um, but listen, if you want to get engaged quickly, I mean, by all means, when you have two kids, maybe take a second. But when you also get bit by a goddamn camel, who gets bit by a camel? Um, But when you get bit by a camel, which is one thing, but then you get arrested because there was weed in the car, which why would you cross state lines with weed in the car? That is so stupid. Um, and now you potentially could do 30 years. Why don't we wait a minute? That's all I'm saying. Eh, mm, The bite mark, we all saw it, right? When we saw this episode. That was disgusting. Ugh. Anyway, I think that's probably going to be it. I did, oh yes, I was gonna talk about this. So this is again another show I watch but don't cover, and this is about My Fat Fabulous Life. So in case you watch that, Jamie, who is Whitney's niece, new niece, has welcomed her first baby. If you watch the show, you know she was married. She got married on the show last season. And now she had her first baby. So on May 10th, Jamie took to Instagram with a birth announcement and first photo of her newborn son just one day before Mother's Day. Walker James Horton, the new mom, captioned her update, "Thank you, God, for the most precious gift." For the featured photo, her baby boy lay swaddled and fast asleep in a hospital bassinet. His initials were embroidered on the blanket, and his name and initials were displayed on a decorative wall hanging beside him. In the comments, Whitney explained, "Sweet boy, can't wait to meet him. Happy Mother's Day, my beautiful niece." And he's so precious. I'll share a picture. He's so cute. Um, so yeah, so we don't have to go through the back, the history here with that. But again, yeah, if you watch the show, you know that you know who she is and all that. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, so that's basically it. Let's get into the reason that we are here. So we're kind of gonna do like how I did like the 90-day like roundup that I just did earlier in the week, but obviously it's just the one episode, so I can catch up and then we can do them how I do things a little more in detail. So first people we're gonna talk about is the throuple. So Amini set up a date between Annie and Matt, because that's not weird. Um, she kinda, like, walks them like, she's literally, like, walking her husband to the date, and then she dips. But when it's just kind of the 2 of them for a little bit, initially, it's just so awkward. It is awkward as hell. They're going to make, like, tacos, so yum, but, like, at first, like I said, like, they're just not even talking to each other. But he does tell her, "So I know, like, you told her you love her more, and that made me feel, jealous." Um, and her explanation to this, which is like, what does this really mean? But anyways, "She shows me many things," she says. "I need to feel you first." Like and I do get this part. She needs to kind of feel that connection between the 2 of them that maybe she just hasn't quite established. And she kinda needs that, which makes me beg to question, well, you had no issues having sex with him without a meanie, so I'm just curious. Um, she's like, "I need more reaction about me," like, I guess, "You into this?" Anyways. And she does say, "I care about you deeply." She wants to feel like they want to be with her, both him and Amini. She's like, "I'm not their doll." I hate this. I hate this. Because you know damn well she is. She is their doll. They don't care. And what is gonna happen? She's just gonna move over there anyways, and it's gonna be like, you know, she's gonna cater to them. This is so bad. Anyway, so he ends up going back to the hotel after this little date that they had. And I guess just being there by herself gave her inspiration to message. I have so much to say about this. To message her ex, Annie's ex, Ray, who apparently The only reason they have any contact information for this guy is because he is the one that they send the money to. What the hell? First of all, why are you sending money to him? Now, she explained something about like there's like a joint account that was opened up for both of them. Um, this all seems really sketchy. This seems real sketch. Like, I, I, a lot of questions. Y'all so stupid that you're going to send money to the ex-boyfriend who she is apparently not even with anymore, who doesn't even live in Mexico, or if he ever did, I don't know if he ever did, but you're sending money to him? He's her pimp. What is happening? He's her pimp. He's her pimp. I just don't understand. He's her pimp. He's pimping this broad out. I mean that in the sweetest way. Pimping her out. And the money's going to him, and then he just leaves whatever else left for her. He's pimp. He's her pimp. And you're out here in a relationship with this woman, sending money to her ex slash pimp. Like, I don't understand. And also, really, Matt Sharp. He just so happens to be in Mexico right now because he's American. He does not live in Mexico, but he just happens to be there now. He's her pimp. He has pimps in different area codes. Like, or actually prostitutes, or not prostitutes, sex workers in different area codes. Like, what is happening here? So we are going to meet Ray. She just lays this on him and says, well, we're going to meet him. We're going to meet our pimp. This is so stupid. So it's the next day and they're heading to meet her pimp, Ray. And that's kind of where episode 12 ends. So stay tuned. We will talk about him in the next episode. Let's move on to Sarper and Shekinah. So he comes in this after he has a conversation with Fasoon, and also him saying, I'll burn it down if we break up. I will never remember Shekinah. So he comes into the house and he's like, can we talk? And she says, well, I'll listen to you. And this got to me. I have a lot to say here. He says, I feel weak. He's like, I can't work. I just don't feel 100% myself. And she says, well, I don't make the rules. No, she does not make the rules. I'm going to say it to the end and save my thoughts here to the end. So she says, how is it my fault? She says, you've been cold to me. You've been distant. And he says, I'm depressed. And she's like, about what? What do you mean about what? What do you mean? Okay, let's continue. He says, LA, meeting your family. Like, he's overwhelmed is basically what he's trying to say. And her response to this is, but you love LA. Like, we just went out the other day. You loved it. Ma'am, that doesn't mean anything. Do you not know how depression works? Or, like, I'm not saying he's bipolar by any means, but do you understand what it means to have highs and lows? Like, do you not understand that? And that's because he's with you does not mean he is not going to feel depressed. Yes, he wants to be with you. Yes, he loves you, but he also just left a place that he's known for 43 years. That is all he has known for 43 years. He had an independence, in Turkey, has own apartment. He had a job. He was fine. Yes, he was maybe having sex with a lot of women, but he was fine. You know what I mean? And now, like, that's all kind of changed. And feeling like you can't work, you're useless, or you feel useless, like, that's not just gonna not happen because he's with you. Those are normal things that everyone seems to go through when they go through this process of not being able to work. And you're just gonna be like, well, I don't make the rules. have a little bit more empathy for him. And y'all, it's gonna get worse. I'm gonna have a lot. I'm not again, and I'm not saying he should be attacking her. Like I understand what that kind of feels like a little bit. Like my mom has dealt with, mental health concerns and stuff like that. And sometimes she can get like that. Where you feel like it's directed at you, but it's not always directed at you necessarily, but it feels that way in the moment. But so I understand from Shekinah's perspective that, why are you attacking me? I'm not the one who's doing this to you, and you're attacking me. So I do understand that, and he needs to learn to regulate his emotions, but he's also explaining to you, so maybe it can give a little bit of context to where he is coming from. It wasn't like him just being an asshole or just came out of the blue. It didn't just come out of the blue for him. So he's giving you information so you have context for what happened here, and you have absolutely zero empathy. And it's like, shouldn't you not care about how your significant other is feeling? Um, so he says, like, this is not the Shekinah I know from Turkey, because the Shekinah he knew from Turkey was submissive. And that's just not how this is going to work here. And she says, "Oh, please, you're being dramatic." Now, I know she was talking about, or at least it came across that she was talking about his comment here about, "Oh, I miss the old Shekinah from Turkey." But when you also hear this in the context after he has just told you, "I'm depressed," in so many words, um, and you say, "Oh, you're so dramatic," that's so problematic. It really is. And it kinda sets things back. Like, I have been very vocal on this podcast and my other podcast that men have mental health issues like women, and they need to deal with things the same way with doing therapy or whatever else, addressing those concerns. And to kind of say some of the things that she's so far said about her him being dramatic and what's gonna come soon is just like, you are part of the problem. Women like this is part of the problem. Why men feel like they can't talk about their emotions or talk about their mental health concerns because they'll be seen as weak. And we don't want to be seen as weak because women don't want to see us that way. Men should be allowed to be weak, quote unquote, and women should be allowed to be weak, quote unquote. Um, and I'm not saying anyone's weak. We're not weak. But it's just I'm just using his words and whatever, and some of the words that she's using. So she says, um, she's like, "I will act the way that you treat me, which is why you see this face and hear this voice." And I swear I heard him say, "I don't like this face." I don't know where I went, but anyways, he's like, "I don't even know if I want to get," or she says, sorry, "I don't know if I want to get married now." And he's not happy about that. Um, she says that you're being reckless with our relationship. And then Sarper, oh God, Sarper, come on, my guy. He says, "If we break up, you will cry. I'm the best person for you." And she's like, "The hell?" I, she's not gonna cry. She might cry because the relationship has ended, but listen, women, we bounce back. And she's like, "I can survive without you," because like she's done it before. Um, And this part I will have to agree with him. He says, "You are so bad at fixing things." Clearly, we're seeing it here. She is, I mean, I'm not, she's saying, "What do I need to fix?" I don't necessarily think she needs to fix anything because she is reacting to him being reactive. Um, so I understand that. But let's take the word fix out of it and let's say compromise. She is unwilling to compromise. Yes, I do understand that he is acting like an asshole for no reason, but he, again, like I said, has explained why that's happened, and I'm not saying he should have an excuse to that. Put your shit out there and say, this, and this can't happen anymore. but, like, I understand, X, Y, and Z. She's not doing that. So, um, he says, like, "I miss the freedom." And she's like, "What do you mean? Like, you leave for hours, like, I don't know where you go." "Ma'am, ma'am, don't even try that shit because he leaves because you told him he has to leave when you have clients. He is being forced out of the home. He's leaving for hours because he has no fucking choice." And saying something like, "I don't know where you go." Well, no, because you don't care. He doesn't get out. He has nowhere to go. He's wandering the streets of LA while you have clients in your house. And you literally are literally trying to say you leave for hours? What? Are we watching the same show? Are we seeing the same that everyone is the definition of gaslighting? Because this is like, wait a minute. Anyways, I think he says or someone says, "I don't want to lose this relationship." So he said this. This is one in a million. And she says, like, "I mean, I could find a better relationship." Um, and he is pleading his case at this point, and he's like, "I'm the best match. I'm your type." What about, like, is she your type? Is she the best match for you? Like, we could have just, again, rewording, using words like, "We are the best match for each other. We are each other's type." You know what I mean? Anyways, and this part I will have to agree with because he, again, was really reactive for no reason, according to her. So he could apologize. So she does say, "Why haven't you said I'm sorry?" All she really wants to hear is that. And I do get that. And maybe we could have started with that. Maybe we could have started with the sorry and she would have been more receptive to the things that he was saying. She said, "It wasn't about me, but you hurt me." So she's like, "You are so rude." Oh yeah. I think he said, "You are so rude." I think he said that. And it's just like, wait a minute, like, come on. Anyway, she says, "Okay, we're getting nowhere, so I'm done with this conversation." And she walks away, goes upstairs, I believe, and leaves him down there by himself. We'll see how that turns out in the next episode because y'all, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Greg and Joan. So Greg leaves Joan with the dogs because he's getting a telephone call. And I said that's so matter of factly telephone call. And they're just running away from her and she's trying to like rein them in, but it's just not working. And she's like, "They are punishing me. This is it. They're punishing me." So his call, he comes back out and he tells her, "I got the job." And he seems really excited that he got the job. Congrats to Greg. He got the job. So, you know what? We're going to celebrate by going to New York City. That's where we're going to go. Now, I had to ask my mom this because I unfortunately have not gone to New York and I guess I never will. I'm going to stay here and go to Canada, y'all, where it's safe. Um, but I did have to ask her because I'm just like, wait a second. Isn't Manhattan and New York City two different things? Like, I know they're like pretty much beside each other, but I'm like, are they not two different things? And then it's been confirmed. Yes, they are two different things. So he says like New York City and then Manhattan. That is really confusing to me because I would think Times Square is in New York City. Manhattan is not. It's not in Manhattan. So I just had to clarify that for myself because he kept kind of saying New York City and at one point he says Manhattan. And I'm just like, okay, Anyways, so before they go though, they're gonna be practicing their New York terms with the New York accent. You can't forget that. So he's just like, you kind of, the yellow taxi could be coming by, right? Right. We're all picturing it. And they're about to slam into you just like they do in Miss Congeniality, right? And then it's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm walking here. You have to kind of have that, right? So he does that, and she's like, I'm walking here. Did she know she did it? And he's and then he's like, and the next thing I go, forget about it. You gotta say that. So she said, forget about it. Yeah, you have to be a New Yorker. I didn't say that right. Ow. You have to be like a New Yorker. So that's that's what you got to do. Yeah. So um So we're kind of walking around, um, New York City, kind of walking towards Times Square, but before they kind of really then while they're into no well, yeah, and it's in Times Square, I watched the ball drop. Um, we kinda look behind, and he's like, "That's where the ball drop happens," and there's the ball drop. The ball's just sitting there, not dropping. It's just there, and I was, like, wondering, "When is this?" I mean, it didn't look like they were wearing, like, winter coats or anything, like, maybe it's about to happen. So I have a question for the New Yorkers. I wanna know, for people who live in Manhattan, who, live potentially in New York City, work in New York City, who has perused, Times Square, whatever. Does the ball drop stay there all year? Does it stay there all year? Like, is it there, like, right now? I have so many questions. Like, I just figured they take the ball and move it out of the way, 'cause they change the ball every so often, right? Um, so I thought the ball is, like, it's not even there anymore, like, after New Year's Eve for New Year's Day. So, does it stay there? I just have questions, that's all. Anyways, um, so they're eating traditional New York pizza, and he's like, "We're gonna show you how to eat traditional New York pizza." Poor girl can't even fold the pizza, but that's okay. So, she likes the pizza. She's like, "There is pizza in Uganda." I can imagine it's very different, because everyone does pizza differently, right? Because even in the States, you have Detroit pizza, New York pizza, Boston pizza, Chicago pizza. There's so many different types of pizzas. Um, so I would imagine, though, that, like, New York is, like, top-notch pizza. So she likes the pizza, um, which is great. 'Cause, I mean, I love pizza. I'm pretty particular with my pizzas, like, I'll eat, like I don't know, is Pizza Nova in the States, y'all? I don't know. But, I will eat, like, Pizza Nova, or, like, I will eat any type of pizza, Pizza Hut, whatever. I'll eat pizza. I love pizza. Um But I remember, like, my ex-husband, he would eat it, but he didn't like it. He did not like pizza, and I just never understood people who don't like pizza, like, "What's wrong with you? You're not human." Anyways, then they got to the hotel, he's making it romantical because he wants to get laid, and he's gonna get laid. He's getting laid because you have taken her away from Lucille, away from the dogs, away from the chickens. You have explored New York City. And then you're gonna have a hotel by yourself. You just also gotten a job. She is going to blow your mind. It's gonna be great. Anyways, that's it for Greg and Joan. Let's take a quick little break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with the rest of these couples. Hi, everyone. So I have a song for you to listen to. This song is by Chester's Ghost, and the song is called Shadow of the Heart. I did get this song from the Podsafe Music Directory, which is part of the World Podcast Network. So I'm going to play that song for you now. If you like the song, you can head down to the show notes where there are links for you to listen to and or download, including the link to the Podsafe Music Directory, which is again a part of the World Podcast Network. So without further ado, I'm going to play that song for you now.
breath feels like a fight. Every step fades into night. But I'm not gone, I'm still alive. The echoes in me will survive. Shadow of the heart, tearing me apart. But I'll stand, I'll bleed, I'll be who I am. Through the storms, through the scars, I'll carry on with my shadowed heart. The mirror shows a fractured face, a soul that's searching for its place. But in the cracks the light will shine. Through the pain this heart is mine. And I'm not lost, I'll find my way. The fire inside won't fade away. Shadow of the heart, tearing me apart. But I'll stand, I'll bleed, I'll be who I am. Through the storms, through the scars, I'll carry on with my shadowed heart. My shadowed heart. Every scream, every tear is a song that you'll hear. I'm still here, I'm still here. Shadow of the heart, it's who I am. Through every fall, I'll rise again. Shadow of the heart, tearing me apart. But I'll stand, I'll bleed, I'll be who I am. Through the storms, through the scars, I'll carry on with my shadowed heart.
And I'm back. Okay, so let's jump in with Juan and Jessica. So they're going to the venue to go check out the venue. David is so pissed. He's not a happy camper. But I do have one question. I feel like I didn't write this properly to remember how she said this. But she's like, oh yeah, she said Davidides or Davides. That's it. She said Davides. It sounded like diabetes. Why would you nickname your child that? Why would you do that? Like, why? Anyways, so they're kind of exploring the venue, and she's kind of a little bit like, I hope it still looks really nice because she went to go see it during nicer weather. Now it's winter, so it's not going to look very nice. Um, but you would think, right? Okay, so it's winter weather. You would do this like, you know, indoors. I mean, listen, I'm Canadian, but like I don't want to get married outside in the winter. So they literally say that the wedding, so here's where you'll get married outside. Outside. So I wrote, wait a second. This is going to be an outdoor wedding in the winter in Colorado. Are we okay? It's going to be cold. I just, what? Oh, there's going to be more, y'all. It's real nice inside, but where she says like where the cocktail hour would happen, which Jessica thinks they probably wouldn't have a cocktail hour anyways, but where the cocktail hour would happen, it's really nice and everything with 3 damn walls. So it's still going to be exposed to the outdoors. What is happening? Why did she pick this place? I, I'm assuming it's cheap because you can't even get a real place to get married, and you're inside for the cocktail hour didn't even push for that 4th wall. It's insane. Um, so yeah, so like I said, the ceremony is going to be outside. It's really nice, like the little, like, you know, altar there. It's nice. But it's winter in Colorado. But y'all, guess what? If it snows, we'll give them clear umbrellas so they won't get snowed on. What the hell? So it could be, I mean, it could be a pretty snowfall, sure. So y'all gonna get clear umbrellas so you don't get snowed. You're still gonna get snowed on. Because then I had questions because I understand how winters can be, you know. I don't understand Colorado winters, but I understand my winters. So I know like snow can blow. Your clear umbrellas ain't gonna do shit. Unless it's just a peaceful snowfall, which never happens unless you're in the movies, and that's not real snow anyways. So I'm thinking like, is there not like an inside just in case? We'll get to the just in case in a second, y'all. But he says, I want to see a little bit of Colombia in the wedding. Okay. I would also think he should have some Colombia in that wedding. More on that in a second, because let's go back to the in case. The in case, this woman literally says, oh, if it's a blizzard or anything, or like minus 60 degrees, we will go inside. Minus 59, forget it. You're stuck with your clear freaking umbrellas. I don't understand. I don't understand. You literally have to wait for the snow to be just hitting you in the face. Minus 60, so it's literally going to look like the day after tomorrow for you to go inside. This is so stupid. Why did she choose this venue? This venue sucks. So, she says, listen, now back to the Columbia of it all. She says, if you wanted to incorporate things from your culture, like I wish he would have told me that like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago when he proposed to me. Ma'am, you have a child with this man, okay, who is Colombian. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been proactive and talked about that, but I would imagine as a person who's in an interracial relationship with a man who's not from this country, that he might potentially want to incorporate his world, his life, his home in the wedding. Just like maybe again, I'm thinking from a perspective of I am in a relationship with a person who is not from this country. Um, and I would insist on incorporating things from his culture in our wedding. I would insist on that. Whatever it is, I want to make sure that he is included, his family is included in that. Also in the fact of if we have children together, like of course I want that. I want to, for that to be incorporated. You are in a relationship with this man and you never thought, hey, maybe we should incorporate some Colombia in this wedding. Just this the just a whole bunch of cow shit. It's just ridiculous. Um, so she tells him, like, you never told me that. He shouldn't have had to. But why did he? That's why I said that already. Why did he have to tell you? So he's at the gym with Herbie. He's made a friend with Herbie. They kind of talk about the bachelor party and dead wood. Dead wood. Wow. I mean, I don't want my wood dead, but dead wood, South Dakota. Of all places to have. And when we get to it next week, bachelor party, bachelor and bachelorette party. Let's go party at Mount Rushmore, y'all. Let's go party in front of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. What the I'm sorry. This is so stupid. I know it's not all they do, but it was when I heard the Mount Rushmore, I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, it's cool to see Mount Rushmore, sure. But it's just like, what? Okay. Anyways, we'll talk about that next time. So we kind of talk about jobs and jobs that are kind of available there in Wyoming. And Kirby here says, like, getting a job isn't really hard, but it's more about the kind of job you want because there is like a lot more jobs surrounding agriculture. So that's kind of more like what's there, which yeah, a lot of cows with a lot of shit. So, yeah, that would be like kind of more what you would see. And there just isn't a whole lot of bartending jobs. And even if there is a bartending job, like you're not going to get tipped the same way that you would on a cruise ship. So, or potentially even at all, Herbie says. So he wishes that he could just do another boat contract. And Herbie's like, well, I thought Jessica said no to that. She did. He says, not no, but like she doesn't want me to. That's a no then. That's a no, sir. His boss apparently has been texting him to do another job. And he hasn't talked to Jessica yet about that. And Herbie does suggest that maybe he should. What Herbie should have also said is maybe don't tell her while she's drunk at her bachelorette party. More on that next episode. So let's now move on to Mark and Mina. So Mark was away for work for 5 days when they got back to New Hampshire. So she's on her own right now. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to clean up. She's going to get rid of some of his photos with his ex-wife. Something honestly he should have done himself. Anyway, she's going through his desk drawer where there's more pictures. And she just says, who is this woman? I need to get rid of this, but like, he needs to explain who this woman is. Y'all, it's Kamala Harris. Poor sweet baby child doesn't even know. That's the former vice president of the United States of America who could have been president. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, like she just, I really kind of just wanted to hear like a camera guy being like, should we tell her? You should tell her. Should we tell her? Like, seriously. Poor Kamala. Anyways, so she went on a little walk. She's going to be heading over to Cocktail Pat's house, but she got lost along the way. And she literally had to call Mark to be like, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. And he's like, but I also don't know where you are. But he does kind of give her a little like landmark to suss out, and she does find that. So she's able to find her way. So this little situation at Cocktail Pat's, they're doing like this little group where they call it stitchin' bitchin' or stitching bitching or whatever it's called. We stitch and we bitch. Because someone might crochet, another one might do sewing, another whatever. So we stitch and we bitch. I love. Can I be part of stitching and bitching? I don't stitch, I don't crochet, but I can bitch. I'm really good at that. So great. Anyways, so they kind of ask her, "Do you get along with his family?" This girl gonna lie, and she's like, yeah." And I'm like, no, you don't." Like they just suss it out immediately. And she's like, "Well, they told me I need to sign a prenup." And they're like, "Oh, blasphemous. No, no, you're not signing no prenup. That's bullshit. You need to protect yourself. You need to take care of your children." So in this case, meaning Clayton. So he's the moneymaker. And she says, like, "I will sign it, but I got a condition. He needs to adopt Clayton legally." I think that's a great idea. Do it. Yeah. Cocktail Pat gets actually really emotional here, and it was, yeah, I'm with Cocktail Pat all the way through this. And she says that as women, we're in a place where we have to depend on a man. And you're in this position where you have to depend on him. And he's kind of in a sense like dicking you around a little bit. Or at least it comes across that he could be like dicking you around a little bit here. If he says no to adopting Clayton, then Mina's gonna pack her bags and she's gonna leave. Because who's gonna deal with this shit? Anyways, that's that. The stitching and the bitching adjourned. Let's move on to Stevi and Mahdi. So, not a whole lot here with them, but they go for a walk to talk after the whole situation of painting her friend like one of Jack's French girls. And he says, "I need to ask a question. and you know what it is. And she says, why is it not enough that I'm with you? Because he wants to know if you've been with women. For whatever reason that he wants to know this, feels like you're hiding things. He feels like you guys need to just rip the Band-Aid off, answer this question, um, be genuine about answering the question, and then, like, sit down and have a conversation about what that means for the two of you so that he'll be at ease and this is gonna be looming over anyone's heads anymore. But she won't redo it. She won't do that. Anyway, she's like, "It's ridiculous that, this is kinda still going on." Um, she's like, "It doesn't matter what my preference is." But I do agree with that to some degree, but I do have this question. If you were with an American man who didn't have an issue with that, would you hold this over his head and not answer the question? Like, I do wonder. I mean, we don't know anything about her ex-husband, but I do wonder if she was not even so much not being honest, but maybe she's figured this out about herself, the side of herself, in later years. And let's just say maybe she opened up to her ex-husband about that. What if, not necessarily the reason that they divorced or anything, but what if he just didn't handle that well? What if, you know, he just he just blew up about it? Um, could that maybe be the reason why she's not telling him? Because I just trying to understand her reasoning for not opening up and telling him. Is it because of a past trauma with that? Or even worse, is it because she knows he won't accept that and she's trying to keep that information from him so he won't leave her, which is not great. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, just be honest. However, she does say, like, if he can't, like, if you were to break up with her over whatever preference or whatever, then we're not meant to be together. But, like, just then rip the Band-Aid off because if you are identifying as whether it's bisexual, pansexual, whatever it could be, then that is who you are. So why wouldn't you want him to accept you fully for who you are? So just tell him. Just tell him. Um, she's like, if I had feelings for someone or something else, like I would tell you, but I don't. But that's not what he's saying. I don't think he's saying she necessarily has feelings for anyone in particular, but he's just trying to understand, like, have you ever or have you interacted or whatever, in bisexuality or whatever. Um, and that's what he wants to know. But, like, and again, being bisexual too doesn't necessarily mean you have dabbled in anything. It could just mean you identify as something. It doesn't necessarily mean you have been sexually involved with the same sex. It could just be this is how I identify. Because I don't think bisexuality or whatever sexuality needs to be defined by whatever you do sexually. Because again, I'll say this, heterosexuals, do we like identify as heterosexual based on our sexual conquests? No. We just know this about ourselves that we are. Um so that could be it too. But again, we're never going to know that unless she is opening up and having this conversation with him about all of that. So, she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. I'm sure that she's over it. But then you could just, make it go away by telling him the truth. Um, um, you are enough, and that's it. That's where she's, putting the line. And that's an interesting thing because for her to say you are enough under this context, that makes me think that you do identify as this, or you have, even if you don't identify as it, you've at least had maybe situations with the same sex. That's what makes me think. So why not just again, I'm gonna keep saying, why not just tell him the truth? And if he does leave you over it, then he wasn't the one. Because I don't think that's that big of a deal. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal. He does, but it's just like, who cares? Anyways, um, he says normally, and this is probably why he keeps harping on it, he says she will do anything to make sure that he believes her. And, when she says something to him. So the fact that she's being a little bit more flippant about this conversation is leading him to think she's holding something to herself and not telling him the truth about it, which is understandable. Anyways, that's it for them. Let's move on to Sean and Alliya. And I think this is it. Yeah, there's the last couple here. So we are kind of getting this, what I like to call the Selling Sunset type music. As the reality gays would say, I'm a boss bitch. Like, that's literally what the music was. I'm like, are we about to say like Rochelle, Jason? I miss them. Hopefully it's coming soon. I don't know if they were filming another season. I think they were. They were filming another season. It's not coming fast enough. Anyways, we are going to be bedazzling Maxwell for the wedding. So this is what she's doing. I think she's making like a jacket or something for Maxwell. Or I think multiple actually. He's going to have costume changes. So they do talk about, the struggles for Alliya in terms of like her transition and the relationship or more so with the transition and now that it's affecting their relationship. For example, their sex life has kind of been affected. She doesn't feel comfortable in her skin right now. Um, and because of that, which is such a normal thing. Well, I mean, in this case, it's because of their transitioning, but um, for I think even just women, sometimes we can, women in general, or even men in general can kind of feel like we are always comfortable in our skin at times, and maybe we don't want to be touched or being intimate with her partner for whatever reason. But for Alliya, like she is obviously struggling because of maybe her body in the nude not reflecting how she feels inside. And she says she doesn't, yeah, like I said, she doesn't feel good on her skin. She wants to move forward in her transition. And I'm happy for her for this. I want her to do whatever it is that she wants to do to complete her transitioning. And I want Sean to support that, but I don't know if Sean fully does because when he does say on one hand, he wants to support her with whatever it is that she wants to accomplish with her transition. But at the same time, he's worried about how it's going to affect him in terms of, sexual needs and stuff like that. So then I'm going to save it for a second. I'm going to finish what I'm going to say here. So she wants to talk to a professional about her options. So we then see her and him meeting a surgeon. Um, Dr. I think is Ewan or Yan, or I think it's Ewan. Um, and Sean says, like, I'm here for her becoming 100% her. Um, and he says that if she wants to do gender reassignment surgery, though, because it is brought up, she does talk about like her face, potentially doing boobs, which even that, like, he's like, I'm not a really haven't been a boob man in quite a long time. I'm kind of more of a pick man these days. So that would be a transition, but he doesn't seem like totally opposed to the idea of that. He's definitely for the idea of getting a bigger butt. It's he's an ass man. He's definitely about that. But as soon as she kind of brings up gender reassignment and kind of what that looks like, and the funny thing is that Sean kind of talks about like the scars and whatever, which they will all heal. Um, and again, like a vagina isn't gonna always be perfect anyways, whether it's a I don't want to say artificial, I don't want to say that, but like a vagina that's created or vagina that's, you know, there when you're born. Um, And you're still gonna have imperfections, whether they're surgical scars or not. They're not always gonna be perfect. Vaginas are not perfect. So, like, is he Like, it feels like an excuse to me, but totally honest. And he's seen a vagina. He was married to a woman, so he's seen pussy before. So it's just like, oh, I don't know. It's just it feels kind of like an excuse to me in front of Alliya and this doctor. But to the camera, he says, like, if she were to do gender reassignment surgery, she kinda needs to tell me, because I think he's under the impression that she doesn't want to do gender reassignment surgery, and this is kinda coming out of the blue for him. But my question is, like, why wouldn't you think she'd wanna do gender reassignment surgery? Now, again, not every person who is transgender wants to do the gender reassignment surgery, but if you want to and you're capable to do it, well, why wouldn't she want that? I do think if she does want to do gender reassignment surgery, maybe she's more afraid about doing it. But if she wants to do gender reassignment surgery, or it's even a possibility in her mind, and she hasn't told him that, or she's told him, I don't want to do it, you do need to tell him. But then he needs to think about what that means for him. If you can't handle her transition, you need to let her go and let her do that. You cannot hold her back in her transition process because of how it's going to affect you. You can't do that. Let her go. And he says he feels like he needs to be here for her. He is the best option for her right now, for whatever reason that may be, but you're holding her back, or you're at least, it comes across as if you're trying to hold her back, or you're potentially going to try holding her back, or whatever the case may be. This is her discovery. You can't get in the way of that. And if you're going to get in the way of that, let her go and just be friends and be done. Let her do what she needs to do. Like, marry her for paper, I guess, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works, because I imagine, like, a lot of that wouldn't be accessible to her as easily in Brazil, whether it's financial or whatever, but it's just like, let her I'm really worried about, I do think he loves and cares for her, and I do think he's doing a bit better with referring to her as Alliya, not dead naming her and everything like that. I do think he's trying to do a bit better with that. I do think he generally cares about her and her well-being, but he's so hung up on the intimacy part of things. So you either need to fess up and talk to her about that, and maybe you guys can come to some sort of agreement, Jasmine Gino style, but in this case, please continue having sex with her, um, and figure that out. Or if you can't figure that out, or she's not about it, then you gotta let her go. They really need to sit down and have conversations about what this is going to look like for their relationship if she were to do any form of gender confirmation surgery, whether that's her face, her boobs, her butt, and bottom surgery, quote unquote. Like, if that's like, if she needs to, they need to sit down and have these conversations before getting married. And they're supposed to be getting married in less than a month. So we don't have a lot of time. So, anyways, that is it for this episode. That is it for episode 12. So hopefully episode 13 will be coming soon. It probably won't be until next week. But we have a long weekend coming here. I've got vacation, so I'm not working. Woo woo. So I should hopefully be able to get that started. But I do have one other quick announcement that I didn't add in the beginning, but I'm adding it here. So if you've rode this ride with me, you're a true one. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has come back. And I was debating adding that to the Christmas lineup. But the Christmas lineup is still so full right now. I still have more coming. I haven't talked about it yet. But there's such interesting shows that are coming on TLC and other stuff. So I am going to do Secret Lives of Mormon Wives now. on the main feed now. I'm not gonna wait. It might still be like a little bit before I get episodes out, but I'm not gonna wait on it. I'm gonna get them out now because I am so excited to watch and talk about this. Oh, so excited. And of course, I've like, thank God to I Think Not, who has covered this on their Patreon feed. And they just finished the 8th episode right before the new season started, so I'm pretty fresh in my mind with everything. I'm so excited. So that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get Secret Lives of Martin Wise on the main feed. I'm not gonna make you wait. You might still wait a little bit, but I'm not gonna make you wait too long. Not like December or anything like that. So that's what I'm gonna do. And there is another show that's coming soon that I've been debating on what that's gonna look like. If I'm gonna add that to the December feed or whatever's gonna happen. I'll talk about that later, though. I'm not gonna talk about it yet. But I can confirm Secret Lives of Mormon Wives will be on the will be coming very, very, very soon. Okay, that is it for me, guys. That is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.